I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
With your long-forgotten name, we call upon you.
We call upon you.
In the words of the unspeakable language, we call upon you.
We call upon you.
By the spilt blood of the wicked, who walk upon this world, sprouting the words of false idols, we call upon you.
We call upon you.
On the land of the dead harvest, that which brings the earth itself into your service, Yamal, we call upon you.
We call upon you. We call upon you. We call upon you.
Yamal calls upon you.
The Sprouting, a Call of Cthulhu actual play podcast by Blighthouse Studio. Find us on your podcatcher of choice.
Hello, everybody. Hello. It's me, Jenny, the one who says hello at the beginning.
We have a couple of quick announcements before we dive into all things faith. First of all, we are doing a live podcast recording at the Nerd Melt showroom here in Los Angeles. That is on October 14th at 9 p.m. You can get tickets over on our website or on the Nerd Melt website directly, but just go to bufferingthevampireslayer.com, click on calendar, and you'll see the events and all the information there. We're very excited, and we suggest you grab your tickets because it will likely sell out.
Yes, and also, if you like what we do here on our show and you want to wrap ensconce yourself, if you'd like to be a buffering burrito, let me tell you that we have shirts available over in our store, as well as CDs and fabulous pins designed by Kate Leth and by Christine Tuna. You can gaze upon them and make them your own by visiting bufferingthevampireslayer.com and clicking on shop. Welcome to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where we are watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer one at a time. I am Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I am Kristen Russo, and this week we are talking about Season 3, Episode 3, Faith, Hope, and Trick. Stay tuned at the end of this podcast every week for an original song written by us, recapping the Buffy episode we're discussing, but we have a special treat this week.
We do.
We have a partner in crime.
I would say so, yes.
Named Jess Abbott of Tancred. You may know Jess, you may not, but by the end of this episode, you're going to know Jess.
Most definitely.
Jess worked with Jenny and I on writing this song.
Yes.
And is going to be voicing the character of Faith in the song. Try to keep it together. Don't fast forward to the end. The episode's going to be great too. We're going to hear a little bit from Jess. It's all going to be great. I'm so excited. It's my favorite song of the entire series so far. Great talk.
Wow. Well, also of interest, Faith, Hope, and Trick was written by David Greenwalt and directed by James A. Contner. It originally aired on October 13th, 1998.
This is the one where, you're going to love this, Jenny. This is the one where a charismatic slayer visits Sunnydale and wins over many of Buffy's friends. Meanwhile, two powerful vampires plot an attack. This is the one where Faith shows up.
This is also the one where Angel comes back from the sky.
Oh my God, we'll get there. I'm going to wait to the end for that naked-ass angel falling from the sky.
All right. So, we open in this episode on Willow having to be carried off of school grounds even though she's totally allowed to leave school grounds because she's a senior. She loves rules. She's afraid that the rules might have suddenly changed while she wasn't paying attention, and boy, do I get it. I love a rule.
Yeah, this is a very Jenny Owen Youngs moment.
Yeah?
As the antithesis to Jenny Owen Youngs and Willow, I was leaving school property all the time illegally, and also
illegally.
Just illegally. It was against the school law.
How could you?
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Whatever. Willow, we don't open on Willow leaving school property. We open on Willow's corduroy pants and beautiful blue fuzzy sweater, which I am just certain that Kate Leth is going to talk about. We're going to get to Kate in a moment.
Yes.
Boy, does Kate Leth have some stuff to say about this episode. Oh, man. But like this opening scene is great, right? The Willow thing happens, but also it's like a really establishing senior year moment.
Yes.
You know, like they've taken the time in this episode to let us know that they're seniors. And like we kind of knew that, like we knew it, but there's been so much happening in the first 2 episodes that had nothing to do with school.
Yeah.
That this was very important.
Now we really know it.
Yes. Buffy is sitting there with her picnic basket. She is turned into Chef Boyardee, probably.
Chef Boyardee?
I don't know what her cooking skills are. She's a senior in high school. She's been slaying vampires. All I know is she's got a basket, and I want to know what's in it.
I think it looks a lot more Martha Stewart than Chef Boyardee.
That's because they said Martha Stewart. They misled you.
Oh. It worked.
It worked. No, I mean, maybe Buffy is a great cook. I don't know. But Buffy is not in school. They are in school. And there's this, you know, kind of moment that everyone has. Not everyone, but Oz and Willow and Cordelia and Xander, where they're like, ooh, shit. We're all coupled off. And Buffy is, you know, single.
Yeah.
Except for Cordelia really puts, I think she puts it best. So let's just dive right into a little Cordelia sound clip here.
Please.
Maybe we shouldn't be too coupley around Buffy. Oh, you mean because of how the only guy that ever liked her turned into a vicious killer and had to be put down like a dog?
Can't she cram complex issues into a nutshell or what?
Right.
You know who
course.
hasn't changed on us is old Cordelia.
Holding it down.
Always there without her tact because she doesn't subscribe to tact.
No.
And I love her for it. I love you, Cordelia. I'm going to give you a jingle before the episode's over, but I think you'll have plenty of other moments. I have one in particular that I have in my mind. Okay.
So we meet Scott Hope.
Yes, we meet Scott.
Who is a boy.
Who is a cute boy.
A totally normal looking, charming individual who's
great
interested
dimples,
in Buffy.
Really great banter. Like just the right. He has like an Ozziness about him, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Because he has like fun quips and he is nervous, but he like handles his nervousness very well.
Yes.
He wants to go to a Buster Keaton movie festival. I mean, he's just cute. I really like Scott a lot.
Great job, Scott.
So I'm having a great time with my pals, Willow, Buffy, we're all laughing. Scott's cute. I'm having a great time. Buffy brought a fucking picnic. And then Xander has to fucking ruin the party.
Come on, Xander.
I saw that half smile, you little slut, he says playfully.
But then he gets punched.
He does by Buffy, so it hurts.
And that's great.
Right. So,
in this context.
Oh my God. But I was so caught up in the moment of having fun with my friends that I even laughed off Xander's slut shaming, which I shouldn't have, but I got caught off guard. I was like, yeah, my pals are back together. My slut shaming pal, my cute computer loving pal, my sexy perfect Cordelia pal, and my Slayer pal.
Wow.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm a werewolf pal. Don't
of course.
Forget about my werewolf pal. Anyhow.
So then we cut to outside of a chain restaurant called Happy Burger, which has the most terrifying mascot I have ever seen.
It's sort of like Joyce saying that the mask was going to cheer up the room.
Right, exactly.
It's the same kind of situation. Happy Burger, really?
Yeah. The little guy by the drive-thru box is just straight out of a haunted house.
Yeah, he's real angry at the burger, I think.
Yeah. But who's not the worst? Mr. Trick.
Oh my God,
I
Mr.
love Mr. Trick.
This is such an episode. This is a fucking episode,
There's
Jenny.
a lot going on.
Oh man. So yeah, we meet Mr. Trick and Kakistos.
Yeah.
Kakistos. I want to know, how long do you have to live until your hands turn into hooves? You know what I mean?
So that's what I was wondering, because later we find out Giles says, Kakistos is a vampire so old that his hands and feet are cloven. Now, to me, that sounds like he had that was some earlier stage of vampirism or something. Not that they become cloven, but evolutionarily or something.
Wait, there were cloven people vampires?
Right. So what I think they were sort of going for is because vampires, as we learn in the mythology, are they're hybrids. They're half demon, half human. And if we think about, the most famous demon of all,
The
Rudolph.
most famous.
I mean, Satan. He's known for having cloven feet, not cloven hands. That's really a choice. But I think what they're going for is very old evil.
But just wouldn't the master have had cloven?
Look, I'm with you. It doesn't make any sense.
I really like my interpretation, which is that at some point Angel will have hooves. It just you just gotta wait for it.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
one
yeah.
day you wake up and you're like, well, shit.
Wow.
And I want to know how old you have to be.
Wow.
Right. So anyhow, there's this great scene where Mr. Trick, there's a couple of scenes in this episode where people get eaten in a real fun, fast foodie kind of way.
Yes.
There's the drive-through right here where this poor guy, he wasn't even going to get eaten.
Oh yeah, Mr. Trick was all about
Just
it.
wanted
was
a
like,
soda.
he called me sir.
Right, he really liked him. And then
But then Kakistos had to go talking about ripping spines out of
marrow.
slayers
He
and
was like, I
sucking the
really want to
marrows from
suck
some-
the marrow.
And Mr. Trick couldn't help but get hungry.
Yeah, so down went this guy. But something that I want to talk about before we go past this scene with Mr. Trick is this is a really big moment in Sunnydale and in the universe, the Buffyverse, I think. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you know that one of our listeners sent us a copy of this collection of critical essays called Joss Whedon and Race. It's edited by Mary Ellen Eatropoulos and Lowry A. Woodall III. It's a really brilliant read. I haven't finished it yet, but every essay I've read has just been really compelling, written wonderfully. And obviously, this is a really important topic when we're looking at Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's a really important topic in general, and when we look at most television shows. But here we are. We're in the Buffyverse, and we have Mr. Trick appear, right? And Mr. Trick has this line that he says, which is very important. So I'm going to read a little passage from the introduction. This introduction is written by those two editors whose names I mentioned, and this is talking about the scene that we were just discussing. It's contextualized in saying, it may seem like race is absent from the Whedonverse, right? But now I'm quoting the book, to suppose that race doesn't exist in the works of Joss Whedon because he and many of his characters are white is to ignore the very real ways that race is constructed in the Whedonverses, albeit at the margins, in largely peripheral characters, through aesthetic strategies normalizing whiteness and marginalizing or exoticizing minorities. For example, take Mr. Trick. Quote, not exactly a haven for the brothers, strictly the Caucasian persuasion here in the Dale, he muses, during his first appearance in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, sardonically assessing racism within the Buffyverse in the grand tradition of Whedon villains speaking uncomfortable truths. Yet the implications of this line are forgotten nearly the moment it's articulated. The acknowledgement of racism doesn't go far in altering actual racism in Sunnydale, as it is dismissed just as suddenly as it was recognized. But Mr. Trick has clued us into the fact that it exists, despite its apparent invisibility. Trick's revelation demonstrates that absences matter, and a relative lack of characters of color doesn't mean that race doesn't exist. I'm going to just keep reading here because there's a couple more sentences and I feel like they're really important. They go on to say, it just means that the effects of race and racism are harder to see and understand, and that what may be presented as normal, in quotes, and neutral, in quotes, is actually socially constructed, often in harmful ways that are invisible to those with the power to define what, quote, normal and neutral are. So I just think this was a really important passage. Like I said, the entire book is wonderful and you should read it. But this is what we're seeing here is Mr. Trick is calling something out. And that's very interesting and compelling, but it doesn't take it any further, which is what the editors are saying. We don't dig any deeper there. We're just like, oh, that's interesting. Suddenly we have this character who is saying something about race, and then it's gone almost the moment that it's out of his mouth. And I think, the point here is that, Jenny and I are both white women. We're watching this show in the 90s or even right now. And it's easier for us to sit there and not notice anything, not realize anything, not be aware of the fact that race is present in Buffy the Vampire Slayer by the lack of representation past white people. So I think this is something that we need to continue to pay attention to. We need to continue to pay attention to characters of color in this show and how they're situated and how they're treated, how they're written, and the lack thereof. Mr. Trick is one of the first times, I think it is the first time, that we hear anything spoken out loud about this issue, which, again, important, but really didn't take it to the place that it needs to be taken to.
Yeah, thank you for reading that, and thank you so much to the listener who sent us this book. It has been a great resource for us to continue to check in in on.
Yeah, something we're going to go back to again and again.
Okay, so speaking of going back again and again, next we go to the bronze. There's a shot of the exterior of the bronze.
Yes, there is. Because, of course, we're just going to the bronze.
Yeah, right? That's the shot we see before we're just in the bronze, of course.
Buffy must be watching the television show.
Right?
Because this is actually how she dreams. Buffy dreams with an establishing shot.
Because we go inside, and Buffy is dancing, and we know that it must be a dream for two reasons. Angel is alive. She's dancing with Angel. And the second reason is Angel is wearing a long-sleeve white t-shirt.
Right. That would never happen in real life.
That's not enough exposed flesh.
Yes, and if he were going to cover up, he would only cover up using velvet or silk.
Yes. I love this dream sequence, as I tend to love all dream sequences that happen in 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This one in particular has a Lynchian quality, as many of them do. There's a low sort of industrial tone that's extended, but it's very quiet in the score. And then we see the Scoobies looking on in silence and utter stillness, which is just so creepy and dreamlike and otherworldly.
Yeah, they do a really great job, again, in this one and in all of the dream sequences. And something to note about this dream sequence, of course, is the Claddagh ring.
The Claddagh ring.
Claddagh ring is here. This is a Claddagh-heavy episode,
A lot of
folks.
Claddagh. Whole lot of Claddagh.
Whole lot of Claddagh. Claddagh falls, Claddagh clatters to the floor.
Wow.
Claddagh clatters. Yeah, you heard it here first.
Thank you.
It falls to the floor. It's it's the pivot point of the dream. It is central to Buffy's emotions right now. She's feeling a lot of things about it, and who knows what's going to happen in the rest of this episode with Claddagh rings. Who knows?
We'll just have to keep going.
After Angel turns into this green, rotting thing, which is weird but creepy.
They had leftover materials from Dead Man's Party. They were like, let's just put this on him. Sure.
We go to Snyder. This is fucking great, this scene.
Prime Snyder
and Prime Joyce Buffy tag team.
Getting it.
Oh my God, they're so psyched because the school board has overruled Snyder.
Yes.
And instead of just being polite ladies who are like, thank you so much for letting my daughter back into your school. Thank you so much for letting me learn in a place of education. They don't fucking give a fuck. I'm sorry, I'm swearing a lot in this episode. It's Faith, Hope, and Trick, so I'm on fire. But they say to Snyder, Joyce is like, I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Snyder. And then Buffy does this whole like, oh, so it must suck to be you, to like have had the school board kind of use their power to totally overcome your power. That must be really awful. And then Joyce takes it home. I think what my daughter is trying to say is, nah, 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 nah. And then they leave.
Imagine having a mother who would do that.
I kind of do have a mother who would do that.
Yeah, I guess
to be
that's
honest
accurate.
with you. Yeah. Oh no, she'd nah, but my mom is definitely the mom that will come in swinging.
Yeah,
Even if
yeah.
I'm wrong, which I'm usually not. But like, it doesn't matter, She's there, she's got my back. Look out. I don't know if you realize, Jenny, what is being smashed in a moment like this between Joyce, Buffy, and Snyder, or what's being smashed when Rose Russo and Kristen Russo speak back to male figures of authority, but maybe you could take a guess.
Is it the patriarchy?
It is the patriarchy.
The patriarchy! Okay, so then we're off to the library where Giles is very busy, very, very, very busy, of course.
So busy, he can't even notice that Buffy is back at school.
No.
Buffy's not having it.
No. She needs to be noticed.
I also just want to give a quick shout out to Willow's overalls. They are beautiful, and I had a very similar pair of overalls that I would wear over a very similar orange shirt. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, so Giles is like working on a spell. He's got grand designs to bind Akathala and protect the world.
Yes.
But he needs details from Buffy about exactly what happened when she was fighting and then ultimately killed Angel.
Right, and we're going to follow this arc throughout this episode of the podcast. But something to note as well, in addition to Giles's Akathala spell, this opens up a conversation between Willow and Giles.
Yes.
And we're starting to hear more and more snippets from Willow about the magic that she is doing. And I love, and we talked about this a little bit in Dead Man's Party, but I love her like nonchalance about the spells she's creating. She's like, I turned ice into fire. And I mean, I better not do that on the bedspread anymore.
Right,
and we're like, oh, this is interesting. What's happening? And I also love the dynamic between Giles and Willow because we've seen them, grow closer and closer and like more in the loss of Jenny Calendar and suffer some real tragedies. And I think that their relationship is being forged in just a really beautiful way.
Totally.
Well, do you know what it's time for, Jenny?
I have an idea.
It's time for... Wow.
Didn't discuss this.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Anyway, the chorus. I can't get there. Do you know
It's
what
really
the chorus is?
Is it you gotta have faith, the faith?
I would appreciate some goddamn enthusiasm.
Is it gotta have faith, the faith?
You gotta have faith, the faith.
Well, now we have faith, the faith because she's in the Bronx.
And she's dancing, not to Faith by George Michael, although I really wish that had been
That
what
would have been
she
a
was
great
dancing to.
choice.
But oh, is she dancing? Oh, is she here? We have just climbed miserably through 18 minutes of this episode. Come on, talk about the stuff and the other. We have arrived to the bronze. Faith is dancing.
Hooray!
Hooray indeed. And not only is Faith at the bronze, but the Scooby Gang is at the bronze and Cordelia is looking fantastic.
She is looking fantastic, but her mouth is a problem.
Her mouth is not a problem. Okay, fine. There's a moment when her mouth is a problem, but like her mouth in general is beautiful.
Just a teeny tiny moment. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Cordelia says, re Faith from afar, look at Slut-O-Rama and her date Disco Dave.
She does. And so we have Xander in the beginning of the episode doing a little slut shaming. Cordelia in the middle of the episode doing a little slut shaming. Slut shaming is never good. Of course, it's a little different when slut shaming is woman to woman than it is when it is man to woman. But they are both problematic. So Cordelia, we see you. We ask you to be better in the future to other women and the way that they choose to dress or dance, especially Faith. Just kidding.
Because look at her.
Everybody. But really, Cordelia, look at her. Don't you just want to kiss her?
Wow. You just made me think of a thing I never thought of before.
I know, I had never thought of it either. Because we're going down a different path in this episode.
Okay.
But hey, everybody have fun with that nugget.
Yeah. Now let's rein it in. So Faith is dancing with Disco Dave, who is suffering from that particular vampire anachronism-itis that happens when a vampire dies in a time period and then never sort of like moves on.
Right.
He's wearing sort of like a polyester shirt and he's like doing the hustle or something. And she's like all over him dancing, and then she like points very obviously like an explorer in times of old. And she's like, that way. And then they proceed to dance sideways.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, she literally dances him out. Like,
it's incredible.
It's so awkward, and it got a lot of LOLs in my notes.
Amazing. So Buffy sees this happen, and she's like, uh-oh, I don't think that guy thrives on sunshine. So she follows him out, but she bumps into Scott on the dance floor on the
she's
way.
like, oh, Scott.
No, oops.
You might not understand this, but like I'm the chosen one. I have a lot of stuff to do. I'm not just your average teenage girl, Scott.
Right. So like that awkwardness happens. Then all the Scoobies head out into the alley and like they're like, where did she go?
Yeah.
And somebody's like, maybe they're just making out. And then there's like some fight noises. And Willow's like, that's not what making out sounds like, unless I'm doing it wrong.
And listen, Willow, maybe you are.
Maybe you are.
No, nobody makes out wrong.
Also true. Okay, so then
we learn that Faith is a slayer.
Right. Around the corner, this girl's just like tearing it up all over this vampire.
And the Scoobies, like, I love their response to her because, like, they've seen this before, you know? Like, because Kendra has already been a character, they're not, like, as surprised as one might expect them to be. They're like, interesting moves. Guess we know what we have here.
Looks familiar.
Yeah, Slayer number 2. Faith has this incredible headbutt, like a backward, like she's having a conversation with Buffy forward and then like just throws her head back and gets this vamp. She's like, yo, can I borrow your steak? She kills the vamp and then she says, thanks, B. Just B? Just gonna call her B? Is that what you're going to do,
gonna
Faith?
call her B.
Yeah, that's what you're going to do. Great talk.
Whew, so that's the whole thing.
The
Then
whole thing.
we get to see Faith tell a whole bunch of stories, end on end.
I love so much about so much of this scene.
It's great.
I love Faith's storytelling. I'm wrapped. I'm there. I'm like in for it, you know? She's great.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know, like Faith's Boston accent, like I remember first watching this series and being like, I don't really understand her accent. And I don't know what my deal was because watching it, maybe I just love Faith now. And now I'm like, everything Faith is great. But like we watched it again and I was like, she's great at doing a Boston accent. She's from Boston, Eliza Dushku. So like, anyway, I love her Boston accent. I love everything about her. She's great.
Amazing.
But what I also love about this scene is Cordelia.
Cordelia, I love you, Cordelia. You're perfect, Cordelia.
I just love the way Cordelia handles Xander's stupid piss baby self.
Wow.
You know what I'm
We're
saying?
sticking with Piss Baby, huh?
Yeah, I'm keeping piss
All
baby.
right.
Shout out to Mal Blum from season 3, episode 2. Dead Man's Party, the piss baby episode. But Xander, come on. You know, like he's just, it would be bad enough if he was a single dude and he was sort of just like ogling Faith and being like, tell me more about being naked.
But like while you're sitting next to your girlfriend.
you're beautiful, perfect, wonderful girlfriend.
Monogamous girlfriend.
Come on, man. Get it together. And I love that Cordelia, she is just like, her legs are crossed. Her scowl is on and she's not having it, but she's also not like, Xander, why are you saying these things? Why don't you care about me? She's like, bitch, get your shit together. And I love it. I already gave her a jingle. I wish I could take it back and give it to her now.
Oh my God.
But it's playing in my head. We also get the slaying. It's funny, B, how slaying makes you hungry and horny.
Yeah. Getting a
Record
lot
scratch.
getting a lot of important Slayer info.
Yeah. Faith
that we
is
were not previously privy to.
Right. Very forthcoming.
Very forthcoming.
Buffy is immediately humiliated, thereby proving that, of course, she also gets hungry and horny after slaying. Right? Which is lovely. And she just like tries to like couch it in this like, oh, well, I, occasionally crave a non-fat yogurt.
Right. Also, okay. We find out from Faith, whose Watcher is allegedly on retreat at the annual Watcher's retreat. We immediately learn, of course, Giles was not invited. Now, here is some additional... There's a lot of logic gaps in this episode. The cloven hooves thing doesn't make any sense. This does not check. There are 2 Slayers.
Right.
1 living Watcher attached to 1 living Slayer.
That guy?
How is he not getting an invite? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
At all.
At all. No sense.
But it does allow us to see Anthony Stewart Head be charming and adorable.
Yes.
And deliver lines with great acuity. Is that the word?
Ooh, I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great.
Great.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. And if you have sensitive skin, you're going to want to hear about their scientifically proven topical supplements. Free from over 1,500 chemicals and preservatives that can make skin red, irritated, or itchy, their products are safe for sensitive skin. It's just one of the reasons they've earned the skin-safe seal of approval.
They've also earned the Jenny Owen Youngs and Kristen Russo seal of approval, if I do say so myself, Jenny.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using OneSkin for a few months, and after a few weeks, I remember it like it was yesterday. I texted Kristen, and I was like, maybe she's born with it. I looked in the mirror that morning and was like, oh, things are happening, and I am happy.
I have used a million billion skin products, and I did not think that I was going to switch off of the skin like lotion, the moisturizer that I used and the under eye cream that I used, because I have used them for a little while and I really like them. And I've switched completely, which is a pretty big deal. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code buffering. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and if you can, please tell them that we sent you.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
I need to rewind it back a step, Jenny. Happy to talk about Giles, but before we leave the bronze, before we leave Faith says something very important for the first time. It's in reference to Oz saying, how do you feel about werewolves? Am I safe with you? And she's like, yeah, as long as you don't do this or that other bad thing, I'm 5 by 5.
Wow, what does it mean?
What does it mean?
Nobody knows.
I mean, I take it to mean that we're square, right? Like you're good, I'm good. We are equal, right? 5 by 5 makes a square. So that's Is that hell math?
It might be. Hell math. Okay.
Hell math. 5 by 5 equals 25, or 1 new Slayer.
Yes.
Anyway, back to Giles, who Faith thinks is super hot, sharing something in common with Kate Leff.
Wow.
Kate Leff and Faith have a lot to talk about.
They do.
Don't they? Speaking of Kate Leff, let's go over and find out what she has to say about this episode.
It's time for our friend Kate to give you the Buffy fashion update.
Welcome back to Buffy Fashion Watch. The seasons are turning, the leaves will soon be falling, and if you ask me, it's pleather weather. Honestly, it's hard to pick looks from this episode. It opens on Willow's orange corduroy pants and progresses handily into everything that is Faith. I'm talking red pleather flared pants. I'm talking boob window cropped tanks with matching arm warmers and faux snakeskin pants. I'm talking tribal tattoos and burgundy lipstick and platform chunky heeled boots. She definitely gets some competition from Cordelia in this episode, who wears not only Matrix sunglasses, awesome, in the opening scene, but a frankly jaw-dropping red dress with blown-out, crimped hair at the bronze. She looks like she's going to an awards show. She looks amazing. But Faith is in a league of her own. She wears the most eyeliner per capita in Sunnydale, and I lay myself at her feet for it. Now, Buffy has some capital L looks in this episode, particularly her sheer gradient top in the library, which reminds me of one I talked about earlier. It's just very good. She just looks very good in white. And Willow is peak Willow with colored knit tights and some of her best hair. And we even get Mr. Trick, honorary dude mention, in a silk lavender shirt. I love the way he dresses, even if his ties are a little long. There are butterfly clips and overalls and Joyce's Grecian sculpture of a hairdo. It's practically too much. This episode is too much. You should see the notes I took. There are so many notes. God, I cannot wait to talk about bad girls. Until then, well, actually a couple of times before then, I'll see you at the mall. Oh, hey, does your Target have its Halloween stuff out yet? Because mine doesn't, and it sucks. And sorry, I'll let you get back to the experts.
That was our friend Kate. She gave you the
Our thoughts and prayers are with Kate, hoping that her local Target puts out the Halloween stuff real soon. Also really hoping she can get together with Faith soon and discuss their common interests. Maybe they could do it over dinner at the Summers house, but not tonight, because tonight is just Faith, Buffy, and Joyce.
Wait. We're gonna get there. We're gonna go there and we're gonna hang out there. But first, we cannot leave the library. They all leave Buffy, first of all. This is important, right? Because they're like, they all want to hang out with Faith, and it's building and building and building. That Buffy's feeling more and more left out, more and more replaced.
Right.
She's the chosen one. She's supposed to be the only chosen one. This chosen one is getting in her way.
Wow.
But Giles has a line before they leave, before we go to the next scene, where he says, "This new girl seems to have a lot of zest." And I just love it. And if I have the time, I'm going to make a GIF of it because it's very important.
I look forward to that GIF. Let us also note that this is the second time Giles has asked Buffy for more details about killing Angel.
Yes.
He's collecting data for his very important spell.
Yes, for the spell that, yes, sure. We'll wait till the end to talk about that. So we go to the hallway.
Oh my God. Willow and Xander are taking Faith on a Horrors of Sunnydale High walking
It's
tour.
really great. I would like to be taken on that
Me
tour.
too.
You know? Like, can I sign up for that? How much does the ticket cost? And then Cordelia is just... This is Faith's episode, okay? But Cordelia's really battling.
She's shining.
She's really battling. She has this line because she's again calling Xander out on his bullshit. What are you doing? And she, instead of being like, "Hey, Xander, fuck you," she's like, you really have a thing for slayers. Maybe I should dress up like one and stake you in the heart. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you should. And so is Xander.
Like, please don't be joking.
Yeah. Xander and I have like one moment of solidarity right here. We're both like, okay. Yeah.
We see. So like Faith is talking to Xander and Willow, like, what's up with Buffy? She seems like she could really find the fun, like you guys.
Right.
Like, what's her problem? Then she bumps into Scott at the everybody's always bumping into Scott. Yeah. And they're just like chatting it up. And looking on, Cordelia says, "Does anyone believe that hers is her actual hair color? Faith's hair is brown.
It's just brown.
It's just brown. It's lovely.
It's so good.
But it is a pretty normal, frequently occurring hair color."
This is a Cordelia-ism. That she'll just make shit up. Remember when she did it for Buffy's face? She's like, "You mean that thing on her face?" And everybody watching the TV show was like, "Is there a thing on her face?" I don't think there's a thing on her face. We were all like, "Does Faith have highlights?" I don't.
Yeah.
No. Cordelia just literally says whatever she needs to say to get the job done.
Yes. Exactly.
So Scott and Faith are talking, and this is a thing. This is like another peg in this peg machine.
The single white female peg machine.
Yes.
What is a peg machine?
I don't know. Moving on. Anyway, right. So Faith, Scott, Buffy, a triangle that does not make Buffy happy.
Right.
And
she's like, "I don't even know if I want to date him," but now that Faith is talking to him, especially because Faith of all people is talking to him, she's conflicted.
Then we get this scene, whatever, blah, 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 Mr. Trick, Keystos.
Mr. Trick laying it down with the ancient internet technology. He's like, "We can download 1 megabyte in 4 days." Like, it's bananas.
I didn't even notice
It's 1998, and he is like, "This is top of the line."
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's just working with what he has.
And then we get the second fast food meal of the episode where Trick has ordered a pizza. And he's like, "Food's here." And of course, it's not the pizza. It's the pizza delivery guy.
So great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love it. I love everything about it.
Also, this is where we learn that somebody did something to Keystos' face. And he's mad about it. He wants to kill the Slayer that did it.
Yes, with his hooves. He does, like, when we get to the fight scene, and we'll talk about it, but just, like, the way he punches with his hooves is very comical to me, you know? Oh, and then we get
They kind of look like, those, like, big foam Hulk gloves.
The fists.
That are, like, that you bop
where,
people
like,
with.
you can tell that nobody's actually getting hurt, and it's just really funny. Like, that's how it feels to me.
Yes.
Anyhow, first, let's have dinner with Joyce.
Would love to.
Yeah, you've been waiting to get here, Jenny.
Joyce seems to have fully recovered from the death of Pat. Yeah, God rest her soul.
Joyce has moved on to the next lady at book club, I think. Joyce has made dinner, and she is like, and this is,
so mom.
It's so mom, and it's so gay. Like, it's I thought that we were going to be pushing to keep the coming out arc, but like it's just here in plain lettering that this is a coming out thing. Like that now Mom has like started to accept that you've come out and who you really are. And you've brought over your friend who's also a slayer / a gay.
Yeah.
So she's like, wow, this kid, this slayer will talk to me about like what it's like to slay, and I can get information which I can't get out of my own daughter.
Right.
So Joyce is like all about it. Joyce loves Faith. Faith loves Joyce. Faith just loves everybody. Faith is getting along with everyone, famously, except of course for Buffy. But Joyce has these lines like, Buffy can be awfully negative sometimes.
Right. Well, Faith has this whole spiel she's doing about how she's going to win and they're going to lose, and she just loves to slay, and she's like very bubbly and like magnetic. So of course Joyce is drawn in by this, as everyone is, and it also makes her think about things in a different context as a mother, like, oh, Buffy doesn't seem to have this attitude. She seems so serious about it, and like maybe she shouldn't be doing it if there's another person that could be doing this instead.
Right. And she suggests this to Buffy. Maybe you should, you got college next year.
Right.
This could come at a great time.
And Buffy's of course like, no, this is who I am. I have to do this. This is my sacred duty. And Joyce says, I don't want you to die.
Right. And then Joyce finds out that Buffy
did.
has in fact died, which is horrible. And I like really sympathize with Joyce in this moment, that she has, where she's like, man, I like just tried to take a step forward in this process and like accept her and accept the fact that she's the Slayer. And like, just as I felt like I was getting forward motion, I found out that like my only child died at some point, and I didn't even know about it. Like that's a big thing. She also references the Slayer Pride Parade. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, that's pretty on the nose.
Also, before we get to what I would call my favorite scene in the whole episode, maybe the series. No, it's not my favorite scene in the whole series. I would just like to point out that Faith and I share a commonality with how hungry we both are all the time.
I've seen it in action.
Right? Yeah.
I can confirm.
This is if you want to know what it's like to eat dinner with me, especially if I'm very comfortable with you.
Guard your plates.
You saw it here. Faith, very hungry all the time. Kristen, very hungry all the time.
Bless.
Now, can we go to, Jenny, I mean, the sexual tension award obviously goes to Faith and Buffy. I mean,
this is the scene where they earn it.
If you didn't think that was going to happen, you probably should find another podcast.
Please.
This is not the
fools.
one for you. And we're so excited about the sexual tension award in this episode, and probably future episodes, I'm just saying, that we made a new jingle.
Sexual tension award.
This whole scene is just my dream. It's my dream. It's like if I had a dream and it was a great dream, it would be this scene.
Just two Slayers fighting with each other.
Oh my God. I wrote in all caps for the entire, my notes for this whole scene are every single one of them is a capital letter. The first line is just patrolling together with a million R's. They're patrolling together. The next line is just sexual tension with a million N's.
Wow.
All caps. Then I just wrote sleep in the nude. Something in your bod needs uncorking. Think you can take me. It's just all caps. It's my erotic novel that I wrote.
It's beautiful.
Sleep in the nude. Something in your bod needs uncorking. Think you can take me.
Great.
Oh.
And if you want to add my dead mother hits harder than that.
No, that's a different conversation. That's a different conversation. My erotic novel is that's
okay,
the start
fine.
and the finish.
I know what your boundaries are now.
Got it. How long does the thing have to be considered a novel? Just
three sentences,
three lines,
good,
right?
Yeah.
Not even sentences. Anyhow, this is great. Faith and Buffy are doing, of course, what any two people who are equally matched and who want to make out would do. Right? Which is they want to fight each other. And they were just about to do it. They were just about to quote, air quotes, fight each other. They were just about to fight each other for real.
Wow. You know, one time in college, when I made poorer decisions and gave less thought to things, I was at a party with a girl that I wanted to make out with, who I'm pretty sure, based on the subsequent events, wanted to make out with me too. Somehow, like, we couldn't figure out how we could make out with each other. So the conclusion that we came to was that we should go outside and wrestle each other while our friends looked on. So there we were, not very far away from making out, wrestling each other on the mall at school. And then I was winning, of course.
Of course.
My downfall. Hubris! So then I heard a terrible noise. I heard a terrible pop. I broke the ankle of the girl I was trying to make out with. So our activities were cut short as she was walked to a car by me and another person. And then I think either she went to the hospital then. I mean, she might have thought she sprained it, and then she went to the hospital the next day, and they were like, actually, it's busted.
Okay, Jenny, whatever. Did you make out with the girl eventually?
Never!
Wow, so it really
missed opportunity.
That is a very big missed opportunity.
You gotta seize the moment.
And I feel like you just one-upped my novel.
I didn't mean to.
It was like, I had this novel. I was really proud of it. And then Jenny, just so you all know, Jenny paused the recording and was like, I don't know. I was like kind of thinking maybe I should talk about this time I wrestled this girl. And I was like, stop talking and hit record, you fool.
I just, I want to be respectful of our relationship.
Oh, brother. As though I haven't wrestled girls in my past. Anyhow, we get vamps. And something important, and you brought up this line, which is not a part of my novel, but is a part of this series. First of all, before we get to the line, Faith puts a garbage can over one of the vamps' heads, which is a great move.
Nice.
I haven't seen that move from Buffy, and I think it's great. I think it should be worked into the repertoire.
Absolutely.
Love a garbage can vamp.
Slayers can learn from each other.
Right. So then Faith says, my dead mother hits harder than that. And we learn that Faith can quip too.
Yes.
Faith can quip too.
And also that maybe her mother is dead.
Well, yeah, fine. But I was most excited to learn about the fact that she has the quipping.
Yes.
She has the quipping. She's been gifted with the quip. But then this scene takes a turn.
Yeah.
It takes a hard turn into like very Realville when Faith catches the vamp and just starts wailing on this
just
vamp.
pummeling. And saying things like, you can't touch me. She's obviously in another, but she's very far away.
Yes.
And that puts Buffy in a lot of danger. Thank God, Buffy is able to turn the tables.
I don't know how Buffy was able to turn the tables. I watched the scene today and was like, they're just like two vamps sort of like flailing on her back. Like they're not really trying to kill her at all. And she's like, well, good thing they're just playing a dead fish on me.
Great to know where your limits are in terms of suspension of disbelief. Vampires, sure. A hellmouth, mm-hmm. Zombies, mm-hmm. Pat and her schnapps, yes. Buffy defeating 2 vampires?
No, I mean, Buffy could defeat 2 vampires. Of course, Buffy could defeat 40 vampires. It's just that the way that it was staged was...
For sure.
It was a little rough. But so we get this window into Faith. Because up until now, it's been like all jovial dinner jokes, having fun with Joyce, having a crush on Giles, making everybody love her. And then we see like, oh, something's up. And Buffy is like, immediately goes to Giles and is like, something's up and this is scary.
Yes. And when she does go to Giles and they walk and they talk, what's Giles drinking out of? A green mug!
A green mug. If you've been listening since episode 1, season 1, you know we have waited for a year to get here. 1 whole year, 2 seasons plus.
It's the most beautiful mug in all the land.
Yes, and don't we have a green mug song that you made?
We have.
Well, I don't know that we can play this song every time we see the green mug.
But upon its first
viewing,
introductory scene,
it should get its song.
Do it.
Well, it's a green mug song from the bottom of our hearts. This very handsome glassware will answer every mug prayer, and Giles can drink in style, and Giles can drink in style.
Oh, that was a beautiful song. Thank you so much for making it, Jenny.
Anytime.
Before we get into kissing toast and khaki trousers, I I want to hang back here with Faith because we had, as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Jess Abbott, who you may know from the band Tancred, or you may know just from being the best Jess Abbott that ever was.
The very best one.
The very best one.
I've done the research.
Jess Abbott wrote the song for this episode with Jenny. I helped a bit, but it was a primarily Jenny and Jess thing, this one, and it was great. They had so much fun working on it. The song rules so hard, and we're gonna just play a little tiny bit of the chorus, which is Faith's part in the song, so you can get an idea before we go into talking to Jess. Have you ever heard something so amazing in your entire life? Oh, and there's more of it at the end of the episode. This is just a good day. Before we get there, let's go talk to Jess Abbott.
Wow, what a fantastic day in our lives to be chatting with the one and only Jess Abbott.
Yeah, it's a good day.
It's actually night where I am.
I don't listen.
So is this how this is going to go, Jess? Just contradictory all the way?
Yes, I'm here to bring the attitude.
What? That's very appropriate for this episode. Yeah,
I thought so.
So we thought it would be very good to start with your relationship to the television series. You know, do you like this TV series? Does it mean something to you? Tell us all about it.
Oh, absolutely. I actually only started watching it like in full. I only became a Buffy stan probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And I, just like everyone had been telling me over and over to watch it. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I did. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I watched it a lot and watched Angel a lot. And now it's just kind of like constantly, I'm constantly watching it. I'm sure most people that are listening to this podcast, to Buffering and everything, are probably always watching it as well.
Yeah, that's how Jenny has always been.
Totally.
Just for the last 8 years that I've known her.
Always somewhere.
Yeah.
In the middle of those shows.
Do you have attachments at all to this particular episode?
Faith is just always up to her same old shenanigans, so
well, those shenanigans are brand new right now.
Yeah, first crack at the shenanigans in this episode.
Yes, but I mean, when I rewatched it before we started working together on the song, I rewatched it and I was like, wow, like, I mean, she has her own character development, like, over the different episodes that she's in, but like, it's not too far from where she comes. Like, she comes in hot and she stays hot. Like, she's just...
So you mentioned that you are new to Buffy, or newer, right? That you came to it within the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So do you think that there's, like, how did that happen? How did it, we're almost 20 years after the show. So say we were like 16 years after the show when you came to it. Did somebody bring you into it? Was it, like, do you think that it will be as relevant as it is now forever?
I totally think it'll be relevant. It was like one of the first mainstream ways that I feel like women were given this like really digestible way to understand feminism. And for that reason alone, I mean, there's so many reasons, but just for that one alone even could carry that I think Buffy will for sure be around for a long time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you and Jenny about writing this song. Usually Jenny and I write the songs together, but the two of you worked on this song and like really fun things have happened. So do you two want to talk about it?
I think like we've done two sessions for it, and it's been really fun both times because basically Jenny has all these really great songwriting ideas, and then I'm like, what if we say something really obscene about boys? And that just happens over and over. There's so many ideas where I've said, like, what about this? And it'll be something just like wily, and then Jenny is like, okay, I'll write that one down.
Hey. Oh, well, I feel like, I mean, when I initially had the light bulb of, oh my gosh, Jess should be Faith. She shouldn't just write the song with me. She should appear in the recurring role of Faith, right? I knew that you would bring dark energy to the role and to the writing process.
Like a certain pleather-clad energy.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I guess what I meant by that was that your reaction to my random wily ideas would be what would actually happen had Buffy and Faith had a conversation about anything. And
Sure. If
Buffy would
if
just
Buffy
be
and
like,
Faith were
okay.
writing the song.
So, Jess, since people now have heard you in the context of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and they know that you're wonderful, where can they find more you? Where can they hear more music of yours? Tell us.
My band is called Tancred. That's Tancred. And you can find it on Apple Music or Spotify or YouTube or SoundCloud. Wherever your millennial heart chooses to bring you to music, you'll probably find something from Tancred there.
I feel like it's worth noting that that Tancred's most recent record, Out of the Garden, has a lot of Buffy references that our listeners might really enjoy.
I did have an album come out in April of 2016 called Out of the Garden, and I do have several Buffy references in there, many of which are, I mean, they're mostly pretty subtle unless you're a Buffy fan, and then they're there. And I didn't really think that a lot of people would really notice it. I was naive, and, like, sometimes I'll be at a show and people will be like, Buffy! And I'm like, shit.
You know. Is there a 5x5?
Oh, there is a 5x5.
Right? I thought there was a 5x5.
There's a 5x5. That's the most standout. The rest, I think you'd really need to watch the show to pick up on them. They're not like a quote reference like that. There's a lot of a couple of the songs I was just kind of like writing about some relationships in the show between some of the characters, but
so great. So, listeners, if you thought that this was your only stop for Buffy-inspired music, you were mistaken.
You can go check out my gay Buffy fanfic album.
Awesome. Jess, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us and for writing a song. This was the first time that we've written a song with anybody else.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yes, thank you again for having me.
Yes, and welcome to the canon of buffering music as Faith.
Yeah, so far we have, 3 characters, Buffy, Kristen Russo, and Faith.
Yeah, Jenny sings from Buffy's perspective. I sing from my own, or speak from my own. I usually sing. And now we have the voice of Faith. So if Faith has a voice in any future songs, Jess, I hope you're up to the challenge of being that voice again.
I'm going to cry.
Please.
I feel like this is like when a young artist receives their first, like, music award and they're on stage just like sobbing and they're like, I don't even know where to start.
Well, we hope to hear from you more in a future buffering song.
Yes, for sure.
Oh my goodness, Jess Abbott, what a dream. Thank you so much. Also, we want to let all of you know, so Jess, in addition to being an incredible musician, a huge Buffy fan, and one of the best people on planet Earth, is also really into astrology.
Yes.
And so we took a little time with Jess and we talked about astrology as pertains to the Buffyverse, but most specifically for this episode, how Capricorn Buffy and Sagittarius Faith relate to each other, and astrologically, if that's kind of on the charts or not. It is, spoiler. Yeah. If you want to hear that little segment of interview, it is up for all of our patrons, no matter what level you give at. You can go to bufferingthevampireslayer.com, click on Patreon, and if you pledge at $1 or $5 or $10, that interview with Jess that talks about astrology and Buffy and Faith is up there. It's super fun. And Jess, thank you again so much for being a part of the podcast and for entering the universe as Faith.
Yes.
Woo!
All right, so kissing toast, khaki trousers.
Yes. And that's where my note was, how old do you have to have your hands turn into hooves? But we already talked about that. Yeah. Green Mug is here. We learned about Kakistos, or I should say Giles is like, holy shit, Kakistos?
Yeah, heard of that guy.
Holy shit, yeah. And then he goes off to do his research on Kakistos or whatever. And we have now Scott.
Yeah.
Scott's like, do you want to go to the Buster Keaton Film Festival with me? And I'm like, you're cute, Scott.
And Buffy is like, you're cute, Scott. And then Scott is like, I got something for you, and it's Clodopocalypse.
Wow, Jenny, you didn't even warn me that you had another Cloda pun up your sleeve. Yeah, and here's the thing. Right, it is Clodopocalypse. But, I mean, I don't know. I think Clodopocalypse might happen at the end of the episode, but but it's, I just feel like it's a little soon for him to have gotten her a gift.
Also, a little soon specifically to have gotten her a clattering, which is like
a signal of things to come. Like he says it's like a friendship, which is what I want with you, but we all know that it's friendship facing one way.
Yeah,
and eternal love.
Yeah, facing the other way.
Facing the other way. And I just felt like, I don't know, this was a move that I wasn't sure of. And as a person who has dated, this is a thing that makes me run. Like, it's too soon. It's too, you just had me.
Because I've never given you a gift. And
Never.
It's worked
I'd be
out
gone.
quite well for me.
Yeah, forget it. I would, I hate a gift. No, it's just too soon. But not only is it too soon, it's a clattering. And of all the things, I mean, what are the chances?
No. Also,
yes.
Faith's watcher is dead.
Right.
Rest in peace.
Right. And this is now, once you find this out, like you go back and you're kind of clicking through all of the information. This
right.
makes sense.
She showed up thinking Buffy's watcher would be gone, and she has a great excuse for her watcher to not be around.
Right. Right. Exactly. And just like the way that she's acting out. I mean, I know Faith has a lot of backstory, and we'll learn more about Faith as things progress. But for now, we know that Faith has a lot going on, and like learning that her watcher died is a pretty huge piece of information to inform what we're seeing here. So we go to where Faith is living, which is very similar to Buffy's apartment in Los Angeles. It's same idea, same general concept. Faith doesn't have a ton of money. We don't really hear about money in the Buffyverse.
Right. I mean, it is $18 a day.
It's $18 a day, and there's this great guy.
This great guy.
I mean, I just enjoy him. Because we've just seen everybody falling all over Faith for the entire episode. Nobody can keep their shit together. Everyone. Men and women alike, just tripping over themselves to get more of Faith. And so you see the scene where she like tries her faithiness, and she's like, well, I think you're gonna own this place someday, hot guy. And he's like well aware of himself and her, and he's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen to me if I listen to broads like you.
Great.
I just really, I don't know, I appreciated him. I was sad to see him go so quickly.
So Buffy drops Kakistos information. She's like, Cloven guy.
Yeah.
And Faith is like, oh, fuck. And starts packing immediately.
Yeah. And this is like a real hard shift for Faith because she's been, again, so like apart from that scene where she really lost it on that vamp, we haven't seen her like emote much, apart from being like, I'm happy, I'm jovial, I'm here for a good time and a good time only. And so this scene where she gets scared and then gets sad is pretty upsetting. You know?
Especially, I mean, when Buffy is like, they're talking about her watcher, and she's like, oh, he killed her, didn't he? And Faith says they don't have a word for what
they did.
They don't have a word for what he did to her.
Yeah.
And that is like, to my ear and eye, that's like Eliza Dushku's number one best line delivery of the episode.
Yeah.
Very moving.
Yeah, for sure.
Nailed it.
For sure. And also, like, Buffy doesn't say, like, oh, what happened to your watcher? She says something really shitty to, like, kind of pull it out of Faith. She says, she says to Faith, like, oh, like, you protected your watcher, which is a pretty rough burn. Maybe she's still burnt from Anne getting her in episode 1.
Well, also the last time Buffy and Faith were together, there was a lot of friction.
Right. Friction. Wasn't there friction?
There was.
Okay, so
like while they're chatting, while they're having this great heart-to-heart about terrible, painful things, there comes a knock at the door, and Faith checks the peephole, and it looks like the dude has come back, but no, he's dead. That's the face a dead person makes.
Yeah,
she opens the door anyway.
But through the little fisheye hole, you can't really perceive such things.
Right. And there's Kakistos, and he's like, Faith. Mm-hmm. And of course, motels are not the territory of anyone. They're not like a residence that belongs to somebody, so he can just enter freely, which he does. Faith's flipping now.
Faith's losing it, and Buffy comes to Faith's rescue and is like, we need to get out of here. We need to escape. And she says to her, she does another little bit of Hellmath with, there's 2 of us and 1 of him.
Nice Hellmath.
That's nice little simple. Sometimes Hellmath can be simple.
Yeah.
2 of us, 1 of him. Faith, we got this. We totally got this.
So they flee through the back alleys of Sunnydale.
Of course. And, Trick has a plan for those back alleys, man. He's like, you 2 this way, you 2 that way.
Right,
he does a great little, like, maneuver.
And they sort of flush the Slayers basically to the Mr. Trick and Kakistos LLC headquarters.
That should have been the name of our LLC. Mr. Trick and Kakistos.
Nice. And they're like talking more about what exactly happened with Faith's watcher and Kakistos. And Faith's like, I ran. And Buffy's like, the first rule of slaying is don't die. So like,
you
they're
did,
like,
you did the
connecting,
right
you did what you had to do. And then they realize, oh shit, we have allowed ourselves to be flushed directly to their headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
There's about to be a lot more than 2-1.
Right. And so the vamps sort of like all swarm and they're fighting, and Trick has this great scene where he's with this random vamp and he's seeing that like things aren't going so well. You know, there's 2 slayers, they're fighting pretty hard. And he says like, you know, the modern vampire sees the big picture.
Right.
And he just sort of slides out of the room. And I love this. And I love the idea of there being different philosophies with generations of vampires.
Totally.
You know? It's just like, you know, we talk all the time about like millennials and the way they do things and like this and that. And it's just like he has this line that's exactly that, but in the vampire universe.
Right.
So special.
I mean, we've also seen something similar with Spike and Angel, you know, in the finale of the last season with Angel being like, I want to destroy, and Jealous being like, I want to destroy the world because I'm evil. And Spike being like, I'm evil, but I'm not that evil.
Yeah.
And if we destroy the world, I won't be able to get Marlboros. And
right.
So
it's great. It's just great. And so, right. So we have this fight scene. It's a great fight scene.
Great paint bucket kick.
Yes.
Very nice.
Very nice. Not to be outdone by the garbage bucket.
Right.
But Faith, you know, Buffy tries to kill Kakistos with a regular stake and it doesn't even come quick. It just like
breaks
clatters
against him or something.
It clatters down to the floor. And then Faith uses a 2x4.
Oh, like a beam.
The beam. Now, not a 5x5, but a 2x4.
Right.
And plunges it into Kakistos' heart. And Kakistos dies kind of an underwhelming death for like this vamp that's supposed to be so old. It's just like if the master like turned into black hornets. I know that's not what happened. Everyone, don't write me emails. I know it wasn't hornets, but like, you know what I mean? Like the master had this like crazy death and left behind a skeleton because he was like so old.
Right.
I just feel like Kakistos
there's some
deserved
inconsistency
a little more.
here.
But all that aside, what happens at the end?
The
of
main
this?
takeaway is the girls are so hungry.
They're so hungry.
Yeah. So think about that.
So, you know, they go off to satiate their hunger. Together.
Yes.
Like you do.
With a burger.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sure.
So.
Right.
Buffy has learned something. Buffy has seen vulnerability in Faith and has seen what it was doing to Faith to hold on to something.
Yeah.
And then ultimately like what it was for Faith to be able to let somebody else share her emotional burdens. And Buffy decides to tell Giles what really happened with Angel. She tells him that Angel was re-ensouled, that Willow's spell worked, that it was too late, that the portal was already open, that she had to kill Angel, even though he was himself again. And then she says, man, it feels really good to be able to like sort of get that off my chest. And she leaves.
And I love her, like Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think does a really incredible job in this scene of delivering this information because it's so nuanced. Like she's not as upset as like one might imagine she would be reliving this. Like it's very apparent that she has processed so much of it and that she really is letting go of some of the last bits of this. And she's sad, of course, telling the story, but you can see the like release as she speaks it. It's really powerful.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so after Buffy leaves, Willow's like, listen, Giles, I know you don't think I should be messing with magic, but I really feel like I can help you with this binding spell. And of course Giles says, there is no spell.
There is no spell.
Number one dad.
Literally the number oneest of the dads. So as you know, I've only watched the series one time, and so I don't remember a lot of the details. So when we watched this the first time, I like crumpled to the ground in sheer, oh my God, no, Giles. I forgot. And the whole time I was like, I don't remember this binding. Like, I don't remember what happens with the binding spell because there wasn't a spell and he just knew.
Yeah.
He
I
knew.
mean, it's so interesting to think about like the fact that usually in television shows and life, there are teenagers and then there are adults. And teenagers and adults generally interface with each other in a very specific way. There's a parent-child relationship. There's a student-teacher relationship. But Giles, because of the nature of Buffy's work and their work together, he's sort of a friend and a father figure and a mentor. Like he sees parts of them and he has access to parts of their lives that normal adults that they might be interfacing with wouldn't.
Right.
So he is a brilliant man, and he is observing Buffy, and obviously she ran away, she comes back, things are weird, things are still weird, like it has been silted. He knows something is wrong, and he came up with this fucking thing to give Buffy more opportunities to possibly open up to him, because he can tell that she's holding on to something. It's so much.
Oh, it just gets me. And it's also like a really important thing. I mean, obviously, like Giles is very much a dad figure to Buffy, but Giles isn't Buffy's dad. Giles is, her watcher and another adult in her life. And I think it's really important, too, to note that, she doesn't process this with Joyce. She doesn't process it with her mom. And that for so many young people and old people, too, but like in this context, for so many teenagers, there are other adults in their lives that they can open up to in ways that they can't open up to their parents. And it's so important to have those relationships, I mean, I had teachers that I will never forget ever who shaped core pieces of me and who knew those core pieces of me better than my parents did in those years, because it was easier for me to open up to them. So it's a beautiful, obviously we all know it's a beautiful relationship, but this, whew.
Yeah.
It's a real moment. It's real beautiful. And then you think
it's over.
You think, they're going to go, there's Scott Hope again. They're going to go to Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
Giles is a great dad. Whatever. Buffy just has to do
just one thing.
Just one thing.
She's got one thing she's got to take care of tonight, and then she's good.
She's fine. So she fucking goes to the fucking place.
She gets her boombox. She fires up Close Your Eyes, the Buffy and Angel theme. It's like da 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 da.
Wow, that's good.
And
that's
she's
really
like,
good, Jenny. I'm sorry.
I need to make room.
I'm so sorry I talked over it. People probably want to take that as a ringtone, and I ruined it for everyone.
Then Buffy's like, I only have room for a certain number of clotter rings in my bureau, so I need to give this one back to
whence
the
it
place
came.
it came from. Yeah. So she places it on the ground in the Angel Mansion.
Yes.
And she says goodbye. And
And
she
you
leaves,
see,
and the lights go out.
You see this very foggy, she has now left. The door has closed.
Right.
It gets dark.
Yes.
The
but
episode's
then-
over, isn't it?
It should
Isn't
be.
it?
No, but
Where's
there's
the
a
credits?
spotlight on the clotter ring.
What? That's weird. I guess we're just gonna see the ring.
Oh my God, it's shaking. Is there an earthquake?
No,
it is
it's
California.
Not an earthquake. It's not a bird or a plane. It's Naked Angel.
Naked, soaking wet Angel falls from the sky. The most naked.
The most naked. The most naked he's been the whole time.
Well, that we're aware of. That we've seen.
No, right, of course, that we've seen. The viewer. I have never seen an angel butt until now. I almost saw angel butt. My notes are just angel naked. And naked is twice the size of the word angel.
Sure.
I just
want
you to know that. Okay.
Proportions are important.
So, wow. I wonder what's going to happen next.
Only one way to find out.
We've got a new Slayer in town who
loves wearing leather pants.
And she's so hungry. And we have a wet angel who's
returned from the hell dimension.
Sky. We have Mr. Trick. We have,
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So I think this is where we're going to leave it for now. I'm really excited. We've been waiting, when we started the whole series, we were like, how about season 3 though?
Yeah, sometimes I would just be washing the dishes and just start giggling and be like, oh my God, eventually Faith is going to get here.
And that moment is here.
It is. The time is now. Well, wow. I am Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not making this podcast, I'm usually writing and recording songs. You can hear some of those and learn more about me over at jennyowenyoungs.com/buffering. And you can give me a shout on Twitter at Jenny Owen Youngs.
Yes, and I'm Kristen Russo, and you can find me on Twitter at Kristen Noeline. That's KristinNoeline. You can also learn more about my work with LGBTQ communities and their families over on my website, KristenNoeline.com, or on the respective websites, everyoneisgay.com for LGBTQ young people and mykidisgay.com, which is probably self-explanatory, but it's for parents and family members and loved ones who have a person who's recently come out to them.
Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at BufferingCast, and you can always drop us an email at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
Yes, and you can help us out by rating and reviewing us over on iTunes. It only takes a couple of seconds. It helps other Buffy fans find our Buffy community. It's really awesome. We would love to have those reviews and ratings from you. And you can also support us over on Patreon. At bufferingthevampireslayer.com, you'll see a little link for Patreon, and you can join at the $1 or $5 or $10 level, and you get really fun stuff in return. Songs in advance of the albums, Buffy watches, a secret Facebook group, extra mailbag episodes. I mean, it's just a good time. So you can go on over there and check all of that out.
Also, we want to let you know that we will be back with Season 3, Episode 4 on Wednesday, October 4th.
Yes, and to that end, if you'd like to know a bit more about our schedule, if you want to know when episodes are going to be falling, when you need to do your rewatches, we have updated our calendar through The Wish. And then I believe that comes up sometime in November. So through November, you can see the production calendar, which we will do our best to stay on top of, and you can see when our off weeks are and when our on weeks are. So we are just so organized. Who's more organized than us?
No one.
No people. So, and we'll be going past The Wish as we go further into the season and keeping that as updated as we can. Also, we wanted to let you know that if you live in the St. Petersburg, Florida area of the United States, there's a very fun event happening this weekend. There is a 20-piece orchestra. They're called the Florida Bjorkestra, and they are performing the music from Once More with Feeling. You can find out more information on our Patreon page. We're going to put up a little clip of a video, but we're going to play the audio from this. This is just a rehearsal of theirs, just a little clip from a little song. If you know the episode, you'll know it. If you don't, you don't. So don't worry, there's no spoilers here. But just take a listen for a second. It just it makes chills go throughout my entire body. It's so beautiful. If we were anywhere near Florida, we would be going ourselves, but we are going to send in a little video that will be played during the event. So you will get to see us if you're there, just in video form. And the little clip that we just played is a video. And so I'm going to post the video on our Patreon page, and you can find out all of the information about that event in that post. You don't have to be a patron supporter. The link is public. So you should check it out if you're in the area. It just sounds so fun.
Yes, I wish we were there.
Me too.
Okay, I think that does it for us. So until next time,
Awoo! Faith.
Back to school and that Snyder's still gunning for me. Yeah, I'm here, but I can't say I'm here totally. 'Cause I feel like the whole world is trapped behind glass. I keep trying to get through, but I get nowhere fast. And outside the bronze, someone's doppelganging me. Why is she slaying my vamps and calling me B? The kid fight out all night, it keeps me high. The short fuse, I can't lose, I'm 5 by 5. All you need is some red lipstick and just a little luck. When I get done slaying, gotta eat it, maybe. Fuck, Scott wants to date me, wants to clawda and chill, but I'm too scared to feel all the things that I will. The last boy that I loved left a lot to unpack. Had to send him to hell, now he'll never come back. But boys are just fun machines, boys are a snack. The good thing or two about private pain. The look I see in your eyes is just the same as mine, as mine. Watched my friend face her demons, and it gave strength to me. Guess it's time that I finally come clean.
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Nowadays, trends and news cycles change faster than we can blink. But there are some things that withstand the test of time. And if you're looking for a connection to something timeless, and maybe also a glimpse of life at a slower pace, I believe everyone can relate to the very human experiences explored in Jane Austen's novels. And that's where I come in. My name is Alison Larkin. I'm a writer, comedian, and narrator and host of the Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin. I spent a lot of my childhood in the part of England where Jane Austen lived and wrote, and now that I live in the States, nothing gives me a sense of homecoming quite like narrating her books. On this show, you'll listen to award-winning narration. I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. As well as conversations with actors, writers, and other fascinating people who all share a passionate love for Jane Austen. So please, join me as we embark on a wonderful journey through Jane Austen's work. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin, wherever you get your podcasts.